Hey guys, and welcome to Vlogmas Day 14. Today we're going to talk about an interesting topic. It's flight attendant pet peeves, and I basically just took some notes on my flight to Hong Kong, because I'm in Hong Kong right now, of what annoys me as a flight attendant, and I also added some stuff that some of my colleagues and also some of the flight attendants that I know who work for other airlines have told me about, and I feel like those are some of the most common things that annoy us flight attendants. So let's get right into it. So let's start with luggage. So what happens a lot on the plane, you guys wouldn't even believe how many times this has happened to me, is that passengers expect me to lift their super heavy hand luggage up into those overhead storage compartments, and that's just not our job as flight attendants. We're not supposed to touch customers or passengers' luggage. We're not even allowed to do that, because if I touch like one of those cabin-sized suitcases, I'm not insured if something happens to me. I'm not insured if I would damage that suitcase or something. And I'm not insured if I hurt another passenger by lifting a super heavy bag up into one of those overhead storage compartments. And that's the main reason why we're not supposed to lift those. And also, like, I could get injured if I lift a lot of very heavy stuff, because a lot of passengers don't stick to the rules. I know that there is like an 8 kilo limit for my airline, so you can't bring a bag that's over 8 kilos, that weighs more than 8 kilos, into an airplane as like cabin-sized luggage. But a lot of people overpack, and if I lift those heavy bags, I'm gonna probably like damage my back doing so. Like, it's not our job. And one of my colleagues actually told me once, and that was like horrible, really. It was really rude. A passenger wanted her to put his luggage up in the overhead storage compartment, and she was like, "I'm sorry, I can't, because I'm not insured, it's not my job." And this passenger actually asked, "Well, what's your job then?" It was really, really rude. I mean, most passengers, like almost every passenger I have on my flights, is really, really nice and awesome, but there are just some odd ones, and I'm just talking about that right now. And also, a lot of people, like I said, they overpack. I have had people who brought like suitcases into the plane that were not even able to fit into the overhead bins. And if your suitcase is too big, just make sure that it fits the requirements for the airline that you're flying with. Every single airline has different requirements, different cabin sizes that they allow. And I've just had it happen that people brought luggage that wouldn't fit into the overhead bins, and I'm like, how did they get this through security? And what also happens sometimes is, for my airline, you can bring like one bag, one like cabin-sized suitcase, one backpack, one of those, and additionally you can bring a personal item like a handbag or a laptop or something. And what has happened to me a lot is that people brought like one of those cabin-sized suitcases, and then they additionally brought a backpack, they brought a handbag, and they might as well have brought a laptop additionally, like carrying that, all of that. And it's just too much, and there's just limited space on an airplane, and if I have to make sure that everything fits in there, it'll like lead to delays if you bring too much hand luggage and you're like over the allowance, basically. And then also, what annoys flight attendants is if you put your suitcases in a way that takes up so much space. So if you like kind of like put your, let's say, cabin-sized suitcase in the wrong way and into those overhead storage bins, and like 3 other suitcases could fit into that one bin, and you're just putting your suitcase in there so that only one more fits in there. You know, so like taking up a lot of space and not thinking about it in a smart way, but just putting your stuff wherever you think is the most convenient for you. I'm not directly speaking to everyone. It's just, I'm just like generally speaking about stuff that has happened on my flights. Now let's move on to the next point. It's the emergency exit row. So if you have ever been sitting in an emergency exit row, or maybe if you listen to the announcements on a plane, usually the flight attendants will tell you that you're not allowed to have any hand luggage, no bags, no handbags, no nothing for the start and the landing phase of the flight, because that's the law, because it's an emergency exit row, and if there are objects that will block that exit, it's gonna be dangerous, and it could lead to a lot of troubles if there was like an emergency landing, something like that. And what happens a lot is that passengers start discussions. That passengers are like, "Oh, but it's my handbag." And then I'm like, "Yeah, but if you want to sit here at the emergency exit, you can't have it for takeoff and landing. You can have it during the flight, that's no problem at all, but you just can't have it for takeoff and landing." They're like, "Oh, but there are valuables in there." Yes, but it's the law. And I'm like, I mean, like, I'm not just saying that because I'm mean. It's just, it's the law and I have to stick to the rules, and if you don't, then you can't sit there. Yeah. And then that brings me to the next topic, laptops. So for takeoff and landing, laptops need to be stored in the hand luggage. For my airline, they are not allowed in the seat pockets in front of the seat. And there are a lot of people who put them in there. And then I tell them, I'm sorry, you have to put them in your hand luggage or underneath the seat in front of you or something like that, but you can't have it in like that pocket. And they're like, oh, but your colleague said it is okay. And that's another thing. People tell me that my coworkers told them that it was fine, which I'm sure that they didn't because they know the rules. And they just think, or they tell me, oh, it was fine on the last flight. Yeah, I wasn't on that flight. I stick to the rules, and I can only tell my passengers what the rules are, and I have to tell my purser that the cabin is clear, that we can take off. And if I tell my purser that the cabin is clear and there are still like laptops out there that are not stowed away like they're supposed to, I could get in trouble. It's the law. And there are also a lot of passengers who tell me, oh yeah, I'll put it away in a second. And then I walk by a minute later and it's still there, and I'm like, you have to put it away now. They're like, oh, but I need to finish this. Yes, but everyone knows that we're taking off. Everyone knows that we're landing, you know. It's just annoying to me as a flight attendant. Then let's move on to service itself. So sometimes I have the feeling that people are taking forever to choose what they want to eat or drink. It's okay, if you've never been on an airplane, I'll explain everything. I'll explain what sort of beverages we offer, what's included. Well, everything's included for my airline basically, but I'll just explain everything, and that's totally fine. But at some point you need to make a decision as a passenger. And also if I'm offering, let's say, vegetable lasagna or chicken with rice and spinach, and there are literally people who are deciding for like 2 minutes what they want to eat, and I have a whole plane full of passengers that I have to cater to. A whole plane of passengers I need to ask what they want to eat. And yeah, I mean, I can give you a recommendation, that's no problem at all, but like, I can't really show you what's in there. Like our meals, they're sealed, so I can't really open that up for you. And also, if you take forever to decide, it's not that hard of a decision whether you want the pasta or the chicken. And also for drinks, a lot of the times, I mean, it's on a cart, so basically you can see most of what's on a cart. And I mean, it's fine if you ask, oh, do you have orange juice or something? That's fine, totally fine. Also, I'll explain whatever we have. But if I explain every single thing and you're like, what else, what else, what else? And in the end it's, oh, just water. I get a little bit annoyed because I'm like, okay, I just spent so much time, I explained everything, and then you go with the first thing. Well, anyways. Also, it's very, very impolite if passengers are wearing their headphones, and if I ask them a direct question like, what would you like to drink, they don't take their headphones off. It's fine if they don't want to drink anything and they're like, no thanks, that's totally fine. But a lot of the times it's like, what? I go like, what would you like to drink? What? And then I show them like headphones, and they're like, what? What would you like to drink? It's really annoying, but it happens all the time. It happens basically on every single flight. I feel like it happens more on short haul flights than long haul flights because, I don't know, maybe some passengers don't expect to get like a beverage or a meal. It happens all the time. And it's just, I don't feel appreciated if that happens to me. I feel like it's sort of rude because when I am flying as a passenger, whenever I see that a flight attendant is coming to my seat with a cart, I usually take my headphones out like when the flight attendant is in the row in front of me, because I don't want to be rude. I know what it feels like, and that's just something that's probably one of the things that annoys me most. And I think pretty much every flight attendant can relate to this pet peeve. Now let's continue. Okay, in-flight sales. I don't know if every airline does in-flight shopping, but my airline does it. And we close and lock our in-flight shopping trolley up 45 minutes before landing. And there is an announcement made by our purser that tells all of our passengers that duty-free sales will start now and that it will end 45 minutes before landing. And then sometimes people come up to me like right when I am about to close it, and it takes a while to sell something because you have to like type everything into those, we have like iPads that we use to sell stuff, but it takes a while, and having someone sign the credit card slip and all of that, And I mean, you have to, like, passengers have the whole flight to buy something, and why do they have to do it right when I'm supposed to close this? Because once the seatbelt signs are switched on, I'm supposed to take a seat as well. It's not like I can just stand there and do everything I was supposed to do before. And yeah, that's just something, that's a minor thing though. Like, it doesn't happen that often, but it does happen. Now let's move on. Another thing that really annoys me is that people unbuckle their seatbelts right when we land and they try to get up. And that's really dangerous, because if you're like in a car, would you like unbuckle when you're still going like 50 miles an hour? Because planes, even though it seems very smooth, when they're on the ground, they're still traveling with quite a high speed. And if they have to, like if our pilots have to step on the brakes, it's not that uncommon for people to like, yeah, go fly through to the front. I mean, I just don't want anyone to get hurt. It's the law that whenever you're seated, and especially for takeoff and landing, people have to fasten their seatbelts. And when they're trying to go to the toilet, it's dangerous. And I'm not telling anyone to stay in their seats because I mean and I don't want them to go to the toilet. But I'm telling everyone because it's very dangerous. And it's my job to tell passengers that they just can't get up when they're supposed to stay seated until the plane is at the gate. And I think that's something that's annoying a lot of people, because it's just something that's not safe to do. Then oh, there's another good one. I don't like to be touched by passengers. So it happens sometimes that people don't talk to me. They're not like, oh, excuse me, but they go like, and I'm like, I'm sorry. People poking me, that's just something I don't like. I still have my personal space that I don't want anyone to step into. And everyone can come up and talk to me, that's fine. It's totally fine, I'm there for that. But people touching and poking me, I don't want that. And also like people would like poke me into my stomach and I'm like, what? It's just, no. That's just something I think every flight attendant hates. So that's a huge pet peeve. Then there's another one. Oh, I'm sorry. I have a really weird filming setup and I just, yeah, almost knocked it over. It's fine though. So something that annoys me sometimes is I'm totally fine with kids being on flights. Obviously, kids are people. I love kids. And that's alright, but a plane is a place where kids need to stay seated too. And what I've had happen sometimes, not a lot, but sometimes was that people like, that parents would let their kids run around wild while we were doing service. And I don't mind if like parents walk up and down the aisles with kids, that's alright. But during service, when we're in the aisles with our carts, it's really annoying if the kids are just running wild, and it's dangerous for them because they could get hurt. Because I can't really see like over the trolley if a kid is sitting there like right underneath the trolley. It's like in that corner that I can't see with my eyes. And also I can't like pull the trolley out of the aisle all the time to let people through. I'll let them through if they have to use the toilet, obviously, but if they're just wanting to walk around, it's not good for me, because I have to like push and pull that heavy cart, and it's sort of annoying because it kind of messes up service and it takes so much more time. So that's just something that I've noticed sometimes. Most parents are amazing, most kids are amazing, and it's just a plane is still a plane and it's not a playground, and I feel like some people don't really get that. Then we have another pet peeve, and it's okay, I've had passengers who demanded a direct transfer even though they had enough time to transfer to their next flight. And I don't really get it, because we can't do anything about direct transfers. That's all about like the airline and the airport. They decide who gets a direct transfer, which planes are waiting for other planes, all of that. I honestly can't decide anything about that. I can't call anyone and tell them, oh, someone wants a direct transfer. It doesn't work that way. I've had people who had 2 hours in between their flights, and like my airport in Munich is quite small, so it doesn't take that long to get anywhere. So like half an hour for a connection flight is fine in Munich usually, and 2 hours is more than enough time. And they were like, oh, I'd still like a direct transfer because we don't have a lot of time. And then I tell them Munich is a small airport, there is plenty of time. You can even go and eat something at the airport before you go to your gate. They're like, oh, but I'd still like a direct transfer. And I tell them that I'm sorry that I can't really do anything about it. And that's just something, you know, it's just, it's not in my hands, and I just wish that people would understand it. And it's not about asking about the direct transfer. That's totally okay. But then still demanding it after I tell them that it's not possible is just something that kind of annoys me a little bit. Yeah. And then I have one more. And that pet peeve is, well, I don't like it when people don't listen to my instructions. It happens a lot. For instance, those discussions in the emergency exit rows that I was talking about. Or what also happens sometimes is, so I don't know if you guys know this, but you're not allowed to drink alcohol that you bring yourself on a plane. But we have to know who drinks alcohol on a plane and how much they drink, because we're not allowed to give alcohol to people who are clearly intoxicated. And what happens sometimes is that we tell someone, okay, we served you a lot of alcohol and right now we can't give you anything anymore. And then we see them pull out a bottle of vodka and we tell them, we're sorry, but they're just not allowed to have that on a plane. They can drink it once they land. And they're like, it's mine. Yeah, it's just, that's not a discussion I want to have with anyone. And also sometimes, like if I tell someone, please put your seat in the upright position, they're like, why? And I go like, because it's the law. Or you have to, like in Europe, I think it's different in the US, but in Europe, all of those window shades have to be raised for landing and also for takeoff. So I tell people, can you please raise the window shade? And they tell me, oh, it's too bright outside. And I tell them, well, it's the law and there was an announcement about it. It's just not a discussion I want to have. If I'm giving someone instructions and that's also the law, that passengers have to listen and comply with the instructions they're given by their flight attendants and pursers. And that's just something that some people don't really stick to. That's it. That completes my list. Those were the pet peeves I could think of. Let me know if you agree with them. Let me know if you have further pet peeves. Let me know if you can think of stuff that you do. If you do any of these things, please listen to what I just said and please just stop doing them. I like all my passengers and I'm usually a person who gets along very easily with everyone. But if people are rude to me and stuff like this happens, then I get annoyed, yes. Anyways, I'm still a very positive person and like I said, most of my passengers are awesome, amazing, and I just love working inside of an aircraft. And that's just some stuff that happens sometimes, not on every flight, but sometimes, and that I just want to raise awareness for. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Thank you so much for watching. If you're not subscribed to my channel yet, make sure that you hit that subscribe button down below. Also make sure that you click on the bell icon below because YouTube is not gonna notify you otherwise whenever I post a new video. And it's still Vlogmas, there's still some vlogs coming up, some videos coming up, and that Hong Kong vlog will probably be up on Monday, so stay tuned for that one. And thank you guys so much for watching and I'll see you soon. Bye bye.